Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. I would like to welcome you to the global webinar on the impact of COVID-19 on the global economy, future of healthcare, education, energy, and employment, challenges and opportunities. Today is Friday, July 17, and we are going live now, 6:30 p.m. IST, 2 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. CET, and 9 a.m. US time. If you are still not registered, please visit www.leadindia.us and register so that you can get a certificate. And we are live on leadindia.us as well as facebook.com/hari.ipnapoli. Please log in. So I'm going to take you a brief introduction about today's webinar. On impact of COVID-19 on the global economy, future of healthcare, education, energy, and employment, the challenges and opportunity. And my name is Hari Ipnapoli. I'm the chairman of the Lead India Foundation. So let me just share a few items about the Lead India. Lead India is a brainchild of Dr. Kalam Vision 2020 and founded with a mission to provide affordable quality healthcare, affordable quality education, preserve and protect this planet for future generations, and also develop spiritual families to establish peace and harmony in the society. Lead India also conducts value-based leadership training programs to transform youth into responsible citizens and engage them in developing the nation. Dr. Kalam is the former president of India. He is the chief mentor for Lead India movement, and he is a great scientist and visionary, and he's well known for his contributions to the space technology, the missile technology, and more than that, he was the People's President of India, and he was the 11th President of India. And the Financial Policy Council is our co-host today. It started with a mission to formulate and promote sound public policy based on the principles of free enterprise and wealth creation as envisioned by the ideals of the American founding fathers. FPC is a public policy-oriented organization which seeks to educate and inform the public about economic and fiscal matters. And I would like to welcome today's chief guest, Honorable Dr. Harsh Vardhan. He is the chairperson for Executive Board, World Health Organization, and is also a Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Minister of Science and Technology, and Minister of Earth Sciences for the Government of India. Welcome, Dr. Harsh Vardhan. Thank you for joining us today. And I would like to introduce our keynote speakers today. Myself, Hari Ipnapoli, I'm giving you the welcome address. And our inaugural keynote speaker is Ziad Abdul Noor, Chairman of the Financial Policy Council and also CEO of Blackhawk Partners. Our keynote speaker is Prime Minister Dr. Louis Georges Tin, the State of African Diaspora, and is also Honorary President of CRAN, France. He's joining us from Paris today. And our valedictory keynote speaker is Brian Patrick Luring. He's the Chairman of Raifenberg One Hutstein Limited. He is joining us from Netherlands today. So our distinguished guest speakers, Vibhav Kant Upadhyaya, Chairman of Alternate Development Organization based in Oslo, Norway. He is also Chairman of the India Center. He is joining us from Tokyo today. Professor Manuel Freire Garabal is the Professor of University of Santiago. He is joining us from Spain today. And we have Natalia Sokolova, co-founder and CEO of SDG World, a family office based in California. And I have Eduardo Herto Mercado. He is joining us from Peru. He is an international consultant for the World Bank. And we have Himanshu Patel, founder and CEO of Triton Electric Vehicles and also Triton Solar. He is joining us from New Jersey, USA today. And we have our MCs, young Madhuri Gujje. She is an event manager for today's program. She has a BA in political economy, graduated from University of California, Berkeley. And I have Samir Ipnapoli, a 10th grade student from Bakersfield, California. He is the founder of successview.org. And we have Vaishnavi Chipa, a 9th grade student from Fremont, California. So we have several organizations and media partners. So we have Mana TV, TV5, who are broadcasting live today. And also we have TV Asia broadcasting live today. And we have Nava Telugu TV channel also broadcasting live today. And we have the CIC Group, the Al Khalifa Business School, Alternate Development Organization, Digiton, Triton Electric Vehicles, Young Leaders of Telangana, and Environment Organization, SDG, and NRI Wala. In addition to that, we have several organizations, media partners, TV Asia, GNN, NRI Radio, GKTV, Janam Sakshi, Radio Aid, Free Press, Navateja, Voice Today, V5, Top Telugu, and PCN News. So let me just share a few thoughts about what is happening in today's impacted COVID world. So I just captured some numbers as of 4 a.m. GMT. We have the world numbers about almost 14 million people affected, close to 592,000 people succumbed to death. And just in the USA, we have 3.6 million people, 141,000 people dead. In Brazil, which is in number 2 position, were 2 million people and 76,000 people dead. India reached number 3 position. We have over 1 million people impacted and 25,000 people suffering coronavirus. It's a very sad situation and we have to do something about it. So just run through a few quick points that I summarized here. The projected cost of COVID-19 is about $82 trillion over the next 5 years. And COVID-19 will hit hardest cities of developing countries. 2 out of every 5 jobs lost may not come back. Inequality gap widens in the society because of this. Reduced liquidity in the marketplace and increased borrowing costs. From a technology point of view, a healthier digital lifestyle is a plus. Regulatory barriers will fall, that is also a plus. A boon to virtual reality, an opportunity for innovation, result in stronger domestic supply chains because we have seen all the problems getting things from different parts of the world which never reached us on time. Increased e-commerce and online shopping. From a health and education point of view, we will have rise in use of telemedicine, rise in virtual online education, and governments definitely now playing the role of big pharma now, supplying all the medications, especially India providing hydroxychloroquine to all the world countries. Science reigns in again, we need a lot of research and innovation. And virtual assemblies, parliaments, and congress sessions is going to be a norm, looks like. Big governments make a comeback. Inequality gap widens in the society, lead to political uprising. Electronic voting and voting by mail would be a norm now. Revived trust in institutions and online transactions are in rise. From a lifestyle point of view, virtual office, virtual education will be a reality. Less communal dining, parties, and places of worships will be minimum. Big impact on active life and health, so we need to pay attention to that. Improved environment, clean air and clean water, this is a big plus. So I'll summarize the problem for today's webinar. COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the global economy, healthcare, education, energy, and employment due to restricted. This created an opportunity and an undeniable challenge like reduced productivity, increased unemployment, and reduced liquidity in the market. This may require partnerships between institutions of development, developing countries, share knowledge and resource to kickstart economy using the green energy and industry 4.0 technologies to generate more employment, offer affordable quality healthcare and affordable quality education through blended learning, and so that this can scale throughout the world. So some of the issues with the economy in 2020, forecasts of global economic growth are down from around 3% to 2.4%. China will be the only large economy that is predicted to grow 1.2% by the end of the year. It took 15 days for the US economy to drop 20% in April, which is considered to be one of the fastest decline ever. This is due to large part of economic activity being shut down in the US. In the healthcare side, patients going in for basic ambulatory care decreased by almost 60% in April, and telehealth visits increased. Issues with the lack of testing and PPE supply, which has highlighted global supply chain problems. COVID-19 has disproportionately affected minority and low-income communities in the US, highlighting the need for equal access to affordable healthcare and focus on the social determinants of health. There are about 25 companies trying to create a vaccine and are currently testing it. Hope to see that vaccine come very soon. And from education point of view, shift of education instruction to a completely virtual environment has created structural disadvantages in developing countries and has jeopardized hands-on learning for students studying engineering masters. Education, online learning also has increased access to affordable and high-quality education to all opportunity for cross-cultural learning, resource sharing between universities and the world, opportunity for partnerships among developed and developing countries, institutions, using online learning tools to upskill and reskill low-skill workers to prepare them for the Industry 4.0 requirement. Energy, areas with lockdown in place saw 50 to 75% reduced road transportation. Global oil demand dropped by 5%. Electricity increased by 20% because people are staying home and using ACs and other appliances. Carbon emissions are expected to drop by 8%, creating a short-term positive impact on air quality in major global cities. The demand for coal industry is estimated to drop around 8%. And the employment point of view, just in the US, about 20.6 million people are unemployed, about 14.7% in the US, and Federal Reserve believes it could reach to 47 million, about 30% unemployment rate. And the same thing is expected around the globe. The coronavirus outbreak is expected to wipe out about 6.7% of the working hours, which affects around 195 million jobs across the world. We will see the inequality gap widen as unemployment increases and college graduates are left jobless. So my request to speakers, in light of the coronavirus, we now understand that ecological balance is maintained when human activity is reduced. So how can we rebuild our economic structures to more environmentally sustainable? So my favorite subjects to revive the economy and also use the technology to the fullest. I suggest to use artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, genetic testing, 5G technology, augmented and virtual reality. Cyber security is a need because of the increase in online access. Autonomous and electric vehicles. Smart cities is the way to go to address these are some of the problems we are facing today. And where the opportunities are, highlighting the importance of technology, proficiency in an increased digitized world, increase in access to affordable and high quality education through online learning, opportunity for cross-cultural learning and resource sharing between universities around the world, opportunity for partnerships among developed and developing countries, institutions, using online learning tools to upskill and reskill low-skill workers to prepare for Industry 4.0. And I request a call for action today through all these speakers and also participants of this webinar globally. I would like to request you to provide recommendations to governments and academic institutions to conceive and implement policies to offer affordable quality healthcare and education at scale, maximize the utilization of technology to connect developed and developing countries. I request all the eminent speakers of this global webinar to propose solutions so that the governments can act fast in deregulating and take steps to stimulate the economy. And we will create a task force out of this webinar to draft the proceedings and submit to various governments and relevant institutions to consider and implement the recommendations. Thank you very much, and I would like to introduce now our chief guest, Dr. Harsh Vardhan. I would like to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Harsh Vardhan. He is the chairperson of Executive Board, World Health Organization, Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Minister of Science and Technology, and Minister of Earth Sciences, Government of India. Dr. Harsh Vardhan's public life has been marked outstanding achievements in the fields of health, education, law, science and technology, and environment. As India's health minister, his proactive handling of the ongoing COVID-19 crisis has helped India to minimize the spread of the pandemic. Earlier in his life, his countrywide campaign helped wipe out cold war from the face of India. He was also at the forefront of the battle against tobacco and drug abuse. Dr. Harshvardhan was instrumental in the enactment of several laws, including the Delhi Prohibition of Smoking in Public Places and Non-Smoking Health Protection Act. As a result, the Supreme Court of India directed all states to replicate this law. Dr. Harshvardhan implemented the national drug policy, which was recognized by the World Health Organization as the Delhi model. This model was adopted and implemented by many other countries. I would like to invite Dr. Harshvardhan to address this August gathering. We look forward to your direction in terms of what the World Health Organization is planning to do, as well as what you're planning to do to prevent the spread of COVID-19, especially in India, which has reached number 3. Welcome, sir. Look forward to your inaugural address.
Thank you, Dr. Hari. Good evening, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. I know I am joined by very distinguished people from all parts of the globe at this particular moment. And I would like to thank you, Dr. Hari, the chairman of the Lead India Foundation, for organizing this event today, and for also giving me the privilege of being amongst so many distinguished people all across the world. I know and I acknowledge and convey my greetings to all the distinguished speakers, Mr. Ziad Abdul Noor, the chairman of the Financial Policy Council, Prime Minister Dr. Louis George Stein, Shri Brian Patrick Leuning, Shri Vibhav Kant Upadhyay, Dr. Manuel Freire Garibal, Ms. Natalia Sokolova, Eduardo Huerta Mercado, Himanshu B. Patel, and all other distinguished people who have joined this webinar today from many parts of the world. Dr. Hari, it's a great privilege for me to be amongst all of you. I have known your activities for many, many years, and I know you left India 4 decades back, roughly 4 decades back, and in 2008, under the guidance and inspiration of our very dear visionary leader and scientist of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam ji, who was loved and adored by every Indian, whom we all miss even today. He is the one who inspired you to start this Lead India Foundation. And being his brainchild, I always feel grateful that you have been carrying forward his vision in a very, very dynamic manner and spreading it not only across US but all across the world. I know that the vision of this organization is focused on ensuring that there is affordable health care for all the people, there is affordable quality health care and quality education for everyone, and the whole world learns to stop insulting the planet and in a way learns to contribute to preserve and protect the planet. And you have also in your vision the aim of having spiritual families where there is better harmony amongst the family members, and of course motivating younger generation for value-based activities in their life. When I was trying to look at these 5 points, which are the broad visions of the Lead India Foundation. And when I was trying to learn from what you just now projected about the post-COVID world also and what's happening right now, although COVID has disturbed everybody's life today, we have already paid a huge amount of cost for this huge loss. You mentioned about the lives lost and the morbidities all over the world that it has produced, and the disturbance in all sectors including economy that it has caused, and the debacle that it has produced for the economy. But even after that, I was just trying to analyze that somehow it has brought about a change for the whole world, which you very rightly and very nicely and in very great detail elaborated, that in the long run it is going to improve definitely the quality of health care. It is going to bring about a great amount of more focused and better attention on healthcare delivery systems of the whole world by the politicians and the administrators. And of course, the delivery of education will become more modern and more scientific and more cost effective and useful for the people. And we have, I think, learned from COVID that probably we need to respect nature in a much more dignified manner, with much more sincerity and commitment, much more honesty and piousness. And that's what the people have started learning. Lockdown all over the world in different forms have somehow forced people to live at home, to spend more time with their families, to take better care of their elders and their children. And of course, many people have learnt to dedicate more of their time towards yoga and meditation. And all this also for the post-COVID world has laid a strong foundation for what you have been putting as one of your vision, to have spiritual families. The fifth part of your vision about motivating the youth for value-based activities, I think that you are already pursuing. And I am sure that in spite of the fact that we have paid a huge amount of cost for handling COVID or mitigating the menace of COVID, we should see a better world in the future times. And all of us, all across the world, have to look at it from that perspective only. I know that I had been regularly saying that we may have to wait for the vaccine, we may have to wait for the appropriate drugs, but the big social vaccine is always with us, because protecting yourself from COVID was not a big rocket science that we all had to practice. It was just about few things: wearing a mask, maintaining a reasonable physical or social distance, and just having this habit of regularly washing your hands with soap and water and keeping your hands away from your infected surfaces and not to take them to your mouth, nose or the eyes. And I think this was all about handling COVID. And as a doctor and as a person who has held so many responsibilities in the field of health right from my days in the medical college to being minister in the capital of India and at the national level, and also having worked with the World Health Organization for a number of years as an advisor to them, I feel these small things that COVID has brought about as changes in our life, I think they are going to give rich dividends to the control program of many diseases. It is certainly going to help us in the elimination of many of those diseases, and these are some of the good habits that we will all actually should strive to develop for all eternal times. As far as India is concerned, although we all feel sorry about the loss of lives not only in India but all across the world, but I can through you tell the whole world that India, being a big country with a population of 1.38 billion people right now, the whole world had apprehended a lot of troubles for India during COVID times. People in many countries and in many prestigious institutions, including US also, experts also had predicted that by this time, when I am talking to you in the month of July, it was predicted that there may be something like 300 million cases in India, and there may be something like 5 million mortalities in India. This was all on record. But I can now tell you with great pride that under the leadership of our dynamic Prime Minister, a visionary leader, Shri Narendra Modi ji, we were probably the country where we responded first in the whole world. The whole world knows that China had informed the WHO about the cases of COVID on 7th of January. And here in my office in the Health Ministry, within less than 24 hours of that, we had organized our first meeting of the technical experts. Within a week, we had framed detailed advisories for the whole country. You know, it's a huge country with 35-36 states and union territories, almost like small nations within our big country, and different types of systems, different types of people, different cultures. But within 7 to 10 days, the whole country had started preparing with detailed advisories. We had started point of entry surveillance at our airports, seaports, at our land borders, and must have screened millions of passengers and people at these places. We started our community surveillance very early, and At any point of time, there were a few lakh people under very active surveillance in the country. We got our first case in the country on 30th of January. But much before that, we had established everything so that we had the detailed contact tracings and whatever needed to be done to strengthen our surveillance. The very next day, the Prime Minister had constituted a group of experts under my leadership with other ministers. We must have held something like 19 meetings till now, and throughout, in the initial stages, there were big challenges. COVID being a new virus, there was challenge to train people. There was challenge for the capacity building. There was challenge to ensure that we have the highest standards and quality of surveillance in the community. We must have done a capacity building of over 4 million people within the first few weeks. And the whole world knows that we did a countrywide lockdown under the leadership of our Prime Minister, followed it with a lockdown 2, followed it with lockdown 3, followed it with lockdown 4. And then, because the economy was being disturbed, jobs were being lost, unemployment was rising, it was a very, very tall order for a country as big as ours to take care of the millions of migrant workers, to take care of their fooding, lodging. They were stranded all over the country. There were people who were stranded in other countries. We took all these challenges and started working on ensuring that we take care of these migrant workers. We shift them to the right places. A decision to unlock, because we wanted to strike a balance between ensuring that we take care of the health issues also, we take care of the COVID issues also, and we take care of the setback to economy. It was a big decision. That also our country took. Right now we are in the lockdown unlock phase 2. We faced a lot of challenges during this period, but the country faced all of them very boldly. For the world, it may not be a believable thing, but when we started our journey in our fight against COVID, we had only one lab in the country, NIV Pune, where we could actually test for the presence of the virus. But now, when I am talking to you today, from that journey of one lab to almost 1,250 labs all across the country that we have created, it has been a huge task done with the support of the whole lot of health professionals, our medical colleges, our prime institutions, our corona warriors. And today we are testing almost 3.3 lakh people every day and have an ambitious target of testing 1 million people in the next 10 to 12 weeks or so. We ramped up our infrastructure, and today it's almost 14 lakh dedicated beds created all over the country in our COVID hospitals, COVID health facilities, and also the COVID care centers. Apart from this, over 11,000 quarantine centers with almost the same 11 lakhs or so the number of beds. It's a total 25 lakh beds created all over the country with all sorts of support systems. Fortunately, we are having only, because of the fact that right from the day one we planned our strategy in such a way that we diagnose as early as possible to keep the mortality at the lowest possible level. And today I feel happy in letting all of you know that today our recovery rate is also probably the highest in the whole world. It ranges between 63 and 64%, and our fatality rate is also probably the lowest in the whole world, which is about 2.55, and still we are intending to bring it down to less than 1%. This all has been possible because of the joint effort of all our health professionals, all the departments of the government, where it was a total government approach and it was a continuous blessings and the vision and the monitoring of our dear Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, that today, in spite of being the second most populous country in the whole world with a population of 1.38 billion, we have these datas that I am talking to you. We do not boast about them, but I strongly feel that India, with the support of its people, with the support of its experts, doctors, paramedics, scientists, and all the administrators, has done commendably well. And it is not only the health sector, but also our scientists are doing so well. You mentioned about the vaccines. Right now in India, there are roughly vaccine discovery activities happening at almost 24 places. And 2 of our vaccine candidates have already entered into the clinical human trial stages. We hope and pray and wish that in the next couple of months we should get success on this front. Scientists are already working on discovery of new drugs, repurposing of new drugs. We have been able to produce most of these things which we were earlier importing, whether it was the PPEs or the N95 masks or the ventilators or the drugs. We have now come in a position where we can export many of them. The drugs, we were already, whether it was the vaccine manufacturing capability or the capability for manufacturing drugs, we were already world leaders. We have been able to take care of the shock due to COVID and have worked in a very resolute manner. As far as the World Health Organization is concerned, the responsibility that has been assigned to me is a very recent one, but the whole world is working together for the solidarity trials, whether for the drugs or the vaccines. And finally, I would say that as I have just narrated the story of how 1.5 billion Indians bravely fought the war against pandemic, I must simultaneously narrate a braver story of a resilient India currently fighting to revive country's economy. You will all be happy to know that a developing nation like India is seeing a quick economic upturn. Like for the rest of the world, the pandemic caused a shock for the Indian economy as well. The four legs on which the Indian economy had been growing have all been impacted adversely. Number one, consumption, because of the demand shock caused by lockdown and social distancing. Number two, manufacturing, hit by large-scale supply chain disruptions. Number three, exports, which are on a pause mode as global consumers also pause. And lastly, the capital flows hit as the pandemic causes risk aversion and emerging markets have felt the impact of capital outflows or slowdowns in capital inflows. With all this happening and much more, which you are all very, very conversant with, projections by international agencies were that we would be at 1/5 the projected growth figures. It was then that our government, led by our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, started working on the plan to reboot and restart the economy in as smooth a manner as possible and as quickly as possible without diluting the healthcare and pandemic surveillance and management. Today our most important focus is on developing incentives for foreign investors. Through various policy changes, the government has managed to raise investor sentiment as well as attract the attention of foreign firms. For instance, India recently announced it is developing a land pool nearby which is double the size of Luxembourg. Acquiring land for manufacturing has been a major hold-up for foreign firms since multiple stakeholders are involved. Along with the promised land pool, certain states in India such as Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Haryana and Rajasthan have introduced labor reforms, providing incentives to new companies that set up their operations in their respective states. Further, our government is working on ease of doing business reforms, especially to make registration of property easier, speedy disposal of commercial disputes, and a simpler tax regime. Faced with this kind of unprecedented economic crisis post-COVID, our government had three clear objectives. Number one, providing enough money for emergent healthcare requirements, protection so that domestic companies don't go insolvent, jobs are not lost, and also the poor and the vulnerable who are most impacted by lockdown and economic shocks get financial, food and livelihood support. as the lockdown progressed and now eases, the government's thrust has been to ensure that we provide financial packages to jumpstart the economy. The rupees 20 lakh crore package was designed to restart the economy and business, protect jobs, and at the same time extend the support to those vulnerable and poor and the informal sectors. With already announced packages and the liquidity that is available in the financial sector, nobody will dispute today that the financial sector is in the strongest position it has ever been to help the economy restart, especially MSMEs and agriculture. We are working on ensuring that the over rupees 7 lakh crore of liquidity in the banking system should find its way to the borrowers and those corporates that need credit. We got a spate of good news in the last 1 month as various foreign investors revealed their intent to set up base in India. The technology giant Google announced plans to invest $10 billion over the next 5 to 7 years in India by way of equity investments, partnerships, and other arrangements to accelerate digitization in the country. There are many other MNC giants that are now looking towards India. Huge challenges lie before us as we move on the path of rebooting the economy while dealing with the post-COVID trauma. It is a time when the world has to collaborate. That is the only way we can together reboot the world economy. India has a unique tradition and culture which has always treated the world as a global village from times immemorial. We look forward to the world working on the same principle of collate and collaborate. Moving ahead, so while our government is doing its best to improve demand, restart businesses, this uncertainty is the new normal. The virus and the healthcare risks are part of the new normal that we are living and operating in. Risks to both individual well-being and business are not going away anytime soon. As long as there is no vaccine or a cure, we don't know what tomorrow holds for all of us. Does anybody have any doubt that we are living in an era of uncertainty? We need to be prudent in everything. Keeping the people together, collaborating with the world, and reducing the stress on nature. These are the most responsible things to do as a nation and for all of us together. The whole world must navigate these perilous and unprecedented times together. Many thanks for giving me this unique opportunity to address you all. Thanks once again, Dr. Hari Ipanapalli ji. Thank you all. Thank you everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Harshvardhan. Thank you so much for your wonderful message and sharing a lot of insights, and also the way you are containing the COVID in India. I think we need to take more serious steps because the population is about 1.38 billion. And also by 2027, it is projected that we're going to cross the population of China. So you need to take a lot of strategy in advance, use technologies like probably genetic testing to profile the people so that you have the health profiles of the people, and plan accordingly to allocate funding to see where the real need of the healthcare is and how do we take care of it. And I was very impressed with how DRDO, under the leadership of Dr. Satish Reddy, built a 1,000-bedded hospital in New Delhi in a record 12 days. I think those kind of things needed in other cities also, especially in Hyderabad, maybe Chennai, Mumbai, If you can look into that, that would be wonderful. I think it has a great opportunity now to turn this adversity into an opportunity. So we are the youngest workforce. Average age of an Indian working in the world will be about 29 years from now on. And our goal is to provide the right skills for them and also right training so that they can become responsible citizens, and their health care is very much important to keep them healthy. So with this, I would like to thank you one more time for joining us today. And it's wonderful to see you, and you take care and be safe from COVID-19 because you are needed for the country. And now as a World Health Organization Executive Board Chairman, you need to save the world as well. Please do the needful and take care of the world and make sure that we have affordable quality health care to reach all the human beings on this planet in the next few years so that we can eliminate these kind of situations and reduce the mortality rate. Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful to see you again. And look forward to meeting you in Delhi when my next trip. And thank you for meeting me in November during my visit to Delhi. In spite of your busy schedule, you made a stop in the hotel and we met and chatted for a few minutes. Thank you so much. May God bless you. I would like to sincerely appreciate Ms. Manoranjana Sin for coordinating your address today. I'm very grateful to you both. Thank you, sir. Thank you.